Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you this lovely card that I've used a fun watercolor technique with. This card uses the Charming Day stamp set, one of our online exclusives. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. I'm going to start with my stamping for this project, and I'm going to bring in this leaf image here and tuck it in the bottom left-hand corner. And then I'm going to bring in my floral image here and ink it up with my memento. I'm going to stamp this on the panel like so, and then I'm going to turn it slightly and ink up my hay and stamp it up here in the left hand corner with my Misty Moonlight. I've got my stamping done and I'm ready to bring in my clear blocks. So I'm going to touch my clear block to the ink pad here. I've got my blackberry and my berry, and on this larger block I'm going to do my spruce and my midnight or Misty Moonlight. I've got my palette ready and I'm ready to bring in my Stella. Now you want to be careful with your Stella. You can see how much of the liquid is loading here into the barrel when you do this, and you can also test it on your paper. You want enough fluid so that the ink will move, but not so much that you're going to end up with too much of the pearlized. So I've squeezed a little bit and I'm picking up that ink and I'm going to paint right onto my image. Now that's a little strong, so I'm going to add a little more liquid to my pen, and that gives me a slightly softer color. I'm going to brush off, pick up my midnight, and bring in that second color onto my leaves, and then allow that to dry. Next I'm going to bring in my floral image and my berry burst and blackberry, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up some of this color quickly with my brush and add it to my flower. Now I want this to have kind of a watercolor look similar to the designer series paper that comes in this suite, so I'm simply going to move that brush around, picking up color as I go and placing it randomly on my flower. And as you can see, the color will get lighter as you go because of that fluid and the shimmer. And I can slide this around, just adding color here and there and picking up more color and increasing the depth of that color so I've got different shades. I've got my first flower done, and I'm going to move to the back flower here. Now I can add a little bit of my Blackberry Bliss to this just to give it a little hint of that color on this front flower, moving it slightly like I did before quickly, and bringing in that other shade because I want to add that to my color on this flower. I'm going to use that same technique, moving my brush around quickly to add that watercolored look and color. And I can add a little bit of my berry burst to this flower to tie them together. There we go. I've got my flowers done, and I'm going to bring in my spruce and my Misty Moonlight. I've cleaned my brush. Need to add a little bit of fluid and repeat. Now I've added a little too much shimmer here, so I'm going to lift that off quickly and repeat. If you've got a little too much shimmer, you can dab it with a paper towel very quickly. Don't wait for it to dry, and then go back and add a little less. Or you can practice on your grid paper to make sure you don't have too much on your pen. Now on this, I'm not cleaning my brush because I want to add that color and blend it. If you find you have too much glimmer, go to a different section on your block and pick up some new color. Just make sure you squeeze as you go. I've got this a little dark, as you can see, because I picked up too much color. One of the things I love using the block for, or watercoloring like this, because it's forgiving and you can keep your pads clean but still combine and mix colors, as you can see, because you can simply rinse this color off the block and your ink pad is safe. Okay, so there you go. I'm going to allow that to dry and I'll show you how I assembled the card. Okay, I'm going to bring in my card base here, fold it on the score line, and bring in my Blackberry Bliss layer and adhere it to the card front. Then I'm going to bring this beautiful designer series paper in, and I'm going to use the floral side of this pattern. And as you can see, I'm pulling the colors straight from the designer series paper because I know that Stampin' Up! Has done the hard part for me, and these colors coordinate and will work well with each other. I'm going to set this strip right here in the center, and of course you can use your grid paper to line this up so that it's nice and straight. And in case if you're worried about doing that, layer things before you add them to your card front. Next I'm going to add this beautiful leaf image down right here on this strip, like so. And then I'm going to adhere my flower onto my Blackberry Bliss panel, like so. Flip it over, add some dimensionals to the back, and remove the backings, and add it to my card front. There we go. At this point I can add my inside panel to the center of the card, and as you can see, that color pulls lovely, pulls out those colors lovely and gives you a little pop there on your card front. So there you go, a quick and easy hello card using the Charming Day stamp set. This stamp set is one of our online exclusives, and you can find it in my online store. It's also part of a suite that includes the designer series paper, dies, and more. And of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.